cryptocurrency. And we're not going to like that. We're not. Trust me, it's not going to look good for us. Here's the thing, though. We might go balls to the wall and start invading all these countries as a last-ditch effort to maintain power. And we don't need to do that. We could just take the sanctions off and avoid that future. But all right, though. Let's get to our guy, Jimmy Dore. Zionists angry over Iran peace deal is bipartisan with Glenn Greenwald. Ooh, I like Glenn Greenwald.
Nuclear development. A bad deal would look like continued ballistic missile development. A bad deal would look like funding of terrorism abroad continuing. A bad deal would look like continued Iranian control over the Strait and tolling of the Strait. And a bad deal would look like more funding going into Iran.
Yeah, I know, right? A bad deal. I mean, he got a point. He does got a point. It is a bad deal for us, but it's a great deal for Iran, getting $300 billion in economic stability. I mean, yeah, $300 billion in economic stability and reconstruction, $24 billion in unfrozen assets, and all sanctions relief off your oil and petrochemicals. I mean, Jesus, bro. They're going to triple their GDP, and Iran GDP is like just above $300 billion. And they're about to get that just in economic relief. So imagine what they're going to be in the next 5 years. They might be like $1 trillion. They might have $1 trillion GDP at that time. Why? Because sanction reliefs, and most likely we'll be trying to work out deals with Iran after that. I mean, try to get their oil into the market, try to work out certain deals for ourselves and all that good stuff. And that's really going to piss guys like Ben Shapiro off. Trust me, it is. They probably won't even go to the gas station just because it might be Iranian oil, which is going to be outright hilarious.
A bad deal would look like continued nuclear development. A bad deal would look like continued ballistic missile development.
Probably electric car for all we know.
A bad deal would look like funding of terrorism abroad continuing. A bad deal would look like continued Iranian control over the Strait and tolling of the Strait. And a bad deal would look like more funding going into Iran.
Now, Trump is getting it from all sides, right? So even MSNBC, I just saw a clip of them criticizing Donald Trump, this deal, as it relates to Lebanon. And then, of course, you have people like Ben Shapiro, who wants to go completely bonkers and ramp up the war again. Let's listen.
I'm noticing that Mohammed Khalibaf, who will apparently on Friday be literally in a photo op with the vice president of the United States. I cannot express to you how stomach turning that is. Mm-hmm. I don't care who the vice president is. I don't care who the president is. Leaders of the United States of America in a photo op with a mass murdering terrorist supporter like Mohammed Khalibaf shaking hands 6 months after he blew away 42,000 innocent people.
I mean, I ain't say nothing about the bin Laden head chopper we put in control of Syria because that worked out for you. That was in Israeli interest. So you don't care when we put terrorists in the head of Syria, but you care when we work a deal with the terrorists? I mean, bro, get over yourself. Yes, I guess we got to negotiate with these terrorists. And I'm sorry, it's no longer Iran. It's big Iran, rule of the Strait now. We got to talk to them nicely.
People in the streets. And weeks after his administration was firing missiles at literally all of our allies in the region and continues to support every terrorist group in the region and is currently continuing to control the Strait. Like right now, it is not fully open for business unless the Iranians have, quote unquote, decided it is. The idea here is that somehow this administration and the deal that has been cut weakens Hezbollah. I'm not seeing it so much. I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's there, and we haven't seen the MOU for the 1,000th time. We haven't seen the MOU. It's not because of me. I would like to see the MOU. I think you would like to see the MOU. Hell, I think we'd all like to see the MOU. If Israel is not a party to the actual talks, which they are not, they have not been included in the talks. If Israel is not a signatory to the agreement, which they are not, how in the world could you tie Israel's hands when it comes to self-defense in Lebanon while Hezbollah is firing rockets and drones?
Because you struck them first and are only retaliating against your aggression. That's why we're telling you to stop, because you started it. And then you're getting mad. Well, they hit us. Yeah, because you started it, bro. We're telling you to cut the shit. I'm sorry, but you can't have that position when you're the one who struck them first. And you guys had a ceasefire with them, by the way.
Over the border and Israeli citizens. Shall we say that this is not a popular MOU, from what I understand, in Israel? And again, Israel, they were flying jets alongside American jets during this whole operation. Iran was firing at American soldiers during this whole operation. So playing halvesies is a bit strange. If we release funds, or if we tell our Arab Gulf state allies to release funds to Iran.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be American taxpayer dollars. That is us releasing money to Iran.
Yep.
If you unfreeze money to a terrorist group, that is in fact money going to a terrorist group. It does not have to come from American. That's sleight of hand. It's rhetorical sleight of hand. I was not under the impression that you and I would be paying taxpayer dollars to go straight to Iran.
Oh no, yeah, it's true. I mean, just because we're not giving them $300 billion, I mean, let's be real. That doesn't mean that they're not getting it. They're getting the $300 billion through the Gulf countries. So I see why Ben Shapiro's pissed off, because he's like, bro, this evil Iranian regime is about to get $300 billion to pretty much restabilize their economy and do some reconstruction of what? Probably military assets and a couple of civilian infrastructure that Israel bombed as well. So, hey, it is what it is. And guys, like I said, this is why people say we lost the war, because the loser gives, like, let's be real, the loser gives reparations. And that's exactly what this is, reparations, something not coming out of our pocket.
But if we press people...
No, I'll take that back. I don't say the loser always pays reparations. We paid Japan reparations for the 2 nuke drops, so there's that.
To release money to a terror state in order for them to continue to toll the strait and to exert control whenever they feel threatened, or for them to rebuild their ballistic missile and nuclear capacities, that is a gigantic mistake. To go back to the 5 standards of a good deal versus a bad deal. A bad deal would look like continued nuclear development. A bad deal would look like continued ballistic missile development. A bad deal would look like funding of terrorism abroad continuing. A bad deal would look like continued Iranian control over the strait and tolling of the strait. And a bad deal would look like more funding going into Iran.
Yeah, but you want to know where this bad deal came from? It came from a bad decision. That's where it came from. It came from the bad decision of getting into a conflict/war with Iran, okay? That's where this bad deal came from, Ben. And yeah, and you know what's crazy? This bad deal came from the bad decision that you were supporting. Let's not forget that.
So that's the kind of pressure he's getting from his right. He's also getting it from the left. I think the only thing, first, there's so many things he said that are just ridiculous there, like to see the vice president standing with a terrorist. They just had the chief head chopper from Al-Qaeda at the White House. And he's also welcomed on Downing Street. So this idea
Trump was with the military dictator of Egypt, General Sisi, today, and also at the same time, Ben Shapiro is talking about our Arab, Persian Gulf allies and partners who are the worst despots and tyrants on the planet, the Saudis and the Emiratis, etc. So
that's what they do, bro. Like, bro, Israel bombs Qatar, and then they release all this propaganda about, oh, Qatar's doing this, Qatar's doing that, bro. Qatar's our ally. Like, bro, Qatar's helping us hold up this petrodollar and our AI stocks. Like, chill out on Qatar. They are an ally. And the fact that you guys bombed them and try to turn them into an enemy is crazy.
That whole pretense that Ben Shapiro cares so deeply about the freedom and civil liberties and welfare of the Iranian people, and cares that also, you know, I don't know if Ben Shapiro knows this, but in World War II, the United States was allied with Joseph Stalin, who actually killed huge numbers of people, far, 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 far more than the Iranians ever thought about killing. And President Roosevelt and then afterwards Harry Truman sat down with Joseph Stalin along with Winston Churchill in order to create peace deals and create the Nuremberg trials. I mean, if J.D. Vance would meet with Iranian officials, that's not even close to the worst people on the planet that the United States has met with, not just historically, but continues to this very day to meet with. But I think the more important point is not just all that pro-Israel propaganda that if you don't know by now it's propaganda. You probably aren't going to listen to me explaining why. The issue is what you referred to earlier, which is there are a lot of Democrats who agree with Ben Shapiro. You know, today Adam Schiff came out and basically was complaining that Trump, quote unquote, capitulated, that this is a horrible deal. The Democratic Party is filled with AIPAC loyalists. They're led in the Senate by Chuck Schumer, who absolutely wants this war to continue. And that's the pressure that Trump is going to be facing if this is a real intent to stop this war, either permanently or into the near future, which is the pro-Israel lobby does not take losses. Certainly not without nuclear bombs being launched. And they have both parties, not just the neocon right, led by people like Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham and Mike Huckabee and Ben Shapiro. They have all those AIPAC wars in the Democratic Party as well. And both of them are going to close in around Trump and Vance in order to claim that they surrendered to Iran And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, let me just say this one thing. In the last time an American president really tried to defy the pro-Israel lobby was during Bush 41, when James Baker and all those guys were telling the Israelis we weren't going to give them loan guarantees if they didn't stop expanding West Bank settlements. And Bill Clinton in 1992, when he ran against Bush 41, ran on a platform in part accusing the Bush administration of being anti-Semitic because they were criticizing Israel, and that was
which was crazy, by the way. Yeah, so pretty much clean, and like I said, yeah, Israel got their arms around the Dems and the Republicans. It is not just a right-wing phenomenon here, because bro, Bill Clinton supporting the taking of the West Bank only because, and this is where this bipartisan politics get toxic, because just because one side takes a position, the other side takes the other. And it's like, yo, whoa. We should both be against Israel not taking Palestinian land in the West Bank. Don't call me anti-Semitic so you can run on in and get their vote. What the hell? But that's what Bill Clinton did, though. But he also did some good things as well.
Endangering American Jews. I think that's what's going to have to start to happen to Trump as well.
That's why the No Kings rally doesn't have a demand even end the Iran war, because the Democrats are actually for the Iran war. Chuck Schumer is a tool of Israel and the AIPAC lobby, as is Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, again, the whole Democratic leadership is on this. They're all neocons. That's the whole part. We have two right-wing parties, so to speak, in America. There is no left wing in the United States, and that's why we have the horrible government we have. We don't have an opposition party. It's one party, and they all agree on the same things, which is Israel, more war in the Middle East, more war in Ukraine, the keeping American workers from healthcare, and crushing unions. They all agree on all the same horrible stuff. Okay.
Right. And, that's why, to the extent I was ever kind of curious about or even interested in the Trump movement and the emergence of Donald Trump, was because it presented an opportunity that did not previously exist, where you had a Republican president running for president in 2016 against all those establishment Republican goons like Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz and all the rest. And he was running on a platform saying, endless war is a disaster. The Iraq war was destructive. We have to get out of the Middle East. We're pouring all our money into the military-industrial complex. And then eventually that morphed into a very significant faction on the American right, the populist American right, that took America first seriously, that started questioning our participation in NATO wars in Ukraine, as well as eventually our bizarre alliance with and support for Israel. And you have, in a lot of ways, this very unique populist coalition from left and right and from other places on the map that I had seen and hoped to kind of nurture and feed all the way back, when I was going on Tucker Show in 2016 and talking to Megyn Kelly and being on Laura Ingraham and going on these right-wing shows where I was talking about this anti-imperialist agenda, because I saw these cracks forming. And I reached the point where, and I'm sure I know you did too, where the idea of just like staying within the Democratic Party and hoping that like one day AOC, who's quickly on her way to becoming Nancy Pelosi, or if not worse, somehow reforms any of this and introduces new politics, which is never going to happen. To me, the only possibility for a new politics is creating a new coalition, like a new group of people who really aren't quite so identifiable any longer as left versus right.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where the America First came out of. Like, pretty much, what was it? The America First group kind of separated from from MAGA because of the Iran war. Like, we used to be MAGA, but we kind of had to separate because it was getting a little bit too war hungry. And I'm gonna be real with you, it was kind of turning into bigots in a way. Like, it started to become acceptable. And here's the thing, like, the hatred of Muslims and all this crazy stuff that's going on in MAGA is basically what pushes us into these wars in the Middle East. That's one of the things that people need to understand. And they did this after 9/11 to get us into war with Iraq. And of course, they fed the same fear of all Muslims, pretty much saying that they're all coming out to get you and that they want to kill you for their freedoms. And that's what Bush told you about Osama bin Laden. But if you actually read the letter to America from Osama bin Laden, it was because of our support for Israel, and it was because we put military bases on Holy Land, basically near holy sites. And I'm not saying that's a justification. No, it's not. But the American government did lie to us and did not tell us that whatsoever, because they knew us as the American people would sit there and be like, all right, we got to get them back, but we also need to stop the bullshit as well so this don't happen again.
Kind of opposed to the corporatist and militaristic establishments and agenda that you just laid out.
We'll see you June 26th and 27th in Levittown, New York. August 30th, we're doing a live panel, celebrity